What's up guys, it's TalkTalkDragz and today it's all about Windows and Linux because if you saw one of my later videos, you would know that I've recently switched to Linux Mint XFCE, and that's to avoid the bloatware of Windows. And once I do get a new computer, I am going to be keeping it on Windows because then it'll be less of a problem, the bloatware probably, because it won't really, my computer will probably be able to deal with that a bit better. But starting with Windows, obviously, yeah, most of the reason I think why people are leaving it is due to the bloatware and AI stuff. And that's all obviously Microsoft being, I mean, they're just silly, aren't they, really, Microsoft? I think somebody said in the comments they're just one of those one of those companies that are just basically paid by the government to do all different all different stuff like this that the users hate. And of course, they're just all of these companies. They're just too scared to stop with this AI stuff because that AI is the next big thing, and there's this big AI bubble which I think will burst eventually. It's gonna burst eventually. What good is coming out of it except for, like, I guess you could say, like, it's coming out of cures and stuff. It does do some good stuff, but mostly it's causing a lot of bad stuff. So I think the bubble is going to eventually burst. Moving on to Linux though, yeah, got none of the bloat obviously, but the problem is with it, it's like there's so many problems that get caused by it. There's so many problems that you have to fix, but with Windows obviously you don't get as much of these problems, and when you do get problems, it's quite simple. You just Google up how to fix it, and then you follow a step-by-step tutorial, and then boom, you've got it fixed. But with Linux, you get all these problems, and you have to, basically, I mean, you can Google it, but it's still a lot of the time that doesn't help, and then you just kind of stuck until you eventually find the solution, or sometimes it just somehow just sorts itself out for some reason. But some of the problems I've had is first of all, because I only switched to Linux like a week ago, and keep in mind this is Linux Mint XFCE. This is only one specific version, so stuff I say, obviously it's not going to apply to every version. My opinions on Linux Mint, it could be very different to my opinions of if I were to try different Linux distros. But there's been one of the problems was the audio. I don't know if that's actually anything to do with Linux. I don't, but well, I mean, it must be, because I wasn't having any problems with the audio on Windows. But since I switched to Linux, it's been fairly alright. But like, it sometimes goes a bit crackly for some reason, the audio, and then it'll just suddenly go back to normal. But it's been really, really weird, especially it's especially when I'm trying to play it from the speakers instead of my headphones. Sometimes with the headphones it's a bit better, but you still do get it. And then obviously software is a big one. The only actual really software that I've been missing is my screen recorder, my video editor, and my photo editor. But I seem to have found other software to replace that, even if I might not like them as much. I've still found solutions. And then games, to be honest, I don't think games aren't really affecting me, because most of the games I play are on Steam anyway, and obviously there's Proton, but there has also been some issues with that. I mean, the only issue actually has been one game that I tried to play, Getting Over It with Bennett Foddy. The mouse is really weird, and even when I tried to turn up mouse sensitivity all the way, it wasn't moving very fast, and I did have to turning on trackpad tuning did speed it up, but still using trackpad tuning with a mouse, it's not great, it's not ideal. So yeah, games hasn't really been that bad, unless you're trying to get like indie games from Game Jolt or games that aren't on Steam. But I'm fine with that at the minute. So conclusion, I'd say, as an operating system, as what an operating system is supposed to be, simple, you don't, not all this bloatware. I think Linux is better at just keeping it simple, none of the bloatware. But at the same time, I think the problems, like all the problems, not everyone wants to be up at 2 o'clock in the morning coding their own kernel just to sort out the Wi-Fi or something. It's just ridiculous, some of that stuff. I don't know why it happens so much. I don't know if it's just Linux Mint. Well, I mean, it can't be, because that's actually supposed to be quite a user-friendly one. But I just don't get why there's always so many of these problems. I think it's pretty weird, to be honest. I don't know why. I don't know why there's so much problems that you have to like sort out. But anyways, probably I think that's still worth it, especially if you don't have a computer that's like good enough to handle all this nonsense from Windows, constantly eating your resources. The amount of my RAM that Windows was eating, it was just unacceptable, to be honest. So I think I'm glad I made the switch, but there are definitely a lot of downsides of Linux. I think Linux is quite overrated, to be honest. I think, you know, I like that it's very simple, unlike Windows, but it is I think it is incredibly overrated, to be honest. That's what I always think whenever I see these people making comments, basically putting others down for using Windows, being like, oh, why don't you just switch to Linux? Well, not everyone wants to be constantly bombarded with a bunch of issues, like, you know, oh, your Wi-Fi's not working, oh, your audio's not working, all of this. No one, most people don't want that. Mr. and Mrs. Average don't want that. And, you know, there are ways to fix it, obviously. You will fix it eventually if you do put the effort in, but it's still not ideal. So, conclusion, I think, overall, I'm going to say I think Windows is probably overall better when you put into all the things into mind. But it depends also on the person, because if somebody's a programmer, then Linux is definitely better. Or if somebody's absolutely fine with all these problems and they instantly get it solved within like minutes, then it's fine. But other than that, I think Windows does probably just about take the cake. The only reason I switched, like I said, was just because of the blow. But once I do get a new computer, that won't be a problem, I'm sure. But yeah, just let me know what you guys think in the comments. I'll be very interested. I always read all the comments in these videos, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.